Okay, Assalamualaikum everyone, and good day to all. We're going to start with chapter 15 about organizational culture. So first, we start with the definitions of organizational culture. As you can see on these slides, organizational culture refers to a system of shared meaning held by members that distinguish the organization from other organizations. So basically, what is meant here, members in the organizations, that's mean employees in the organization, shared in terms of shared meaning in terms of belief, values, assumption, and so on. So among all members, they share some in terms of values, in terms of belief that distinguish their organization with the other organizations. So there are some primary characteristics that capture the essence of organizational culture, such as adaptability, detail orientation, result or outcome orientations, people or customer orientations, collaborations or team orientation, and integrity. So basically, adaptability is referring to what extent employees are encouraged to be innovative and flexible, as well as, for example, to take risks and experiment. So it's depend on the organizations. Different organization may have different kind of characteristics, but the primary characteristic that capture the essence, that mean the importance part of organizational culture, consists of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 elements. Adaptability is the first. Second one is detail orientations. It is referring to what extent employees are expected to exhibit precision, analysis, and attention to details. So this actually kind of encouraged by organizations as part of their culture. So, and the third one is result or outcome orientation. This is also common in organizational culture. So any organization also focus on result or outcome orientation. So in this primary characteristic, the essence of organizational culture under result and outcome orientations, management, that means the organization focus on the result or outcome, not on the techniques and process used to achieve them. So they are looking for the result or for the outcome of these characteristics. Next is people or customer orientation, especially regarding to organization that relates to the retail industry, or organizations that directly deal with people or with the customer. So management decisions, these orientations is referring to the management decisions, to what extent management decision takes into their consideration the effects of outcome on people within and outside the organization. Say they look how the effects of their organizations on people within mean among employees and outside, such as normal people, customers, for example, or suppliers and public, and so on. Collaboration and teamwork, team orientations, these referring to what extent work activities in the organizations are organized around team rather than individual. It depends on the organization also. Some organizations are more team oriented, some organizations are more toward individual oriented. Like many company that come from that have some kind of relationship with Japanese company, for example, factory that relate to the Japanese influence, they follow more of the team oriented compared to individual oriented. But in other organizations, they use both individual oriented and also team oriented. Last is integrity. Integrity is also very common in any organization. So this considered as a organizational culture for all organization, because integrity is very important. So integrity is referring to what extent people exhibit integrity and high ethical standard in their work. So it's referring to all employees, whether higher ranking or lower ranking. In organizations, integrity is part of organizational culture. Okay, moving to next slides. Another common cultural framework that's group organizations into several frameworks. For example, into the clan, the adhocracy, the market, the hierarchy. So into the clan, when the common framework groups organization into the clan, that means they base their framework based on human affiliations. That means how they associate with others. These, for example, employee values, attachments, collaboration, trust, and support. So based on clan, that means their groups, their organizations based on clan. That means they want to be affiliated with the other employees, with the other, for example, teams and so on. Adhocracy is the framework that based on change. So employees value growth, variety, attention to detail, stimulation, and autonomy. So certain organizations they base their framework, cultural framework of their organizations based on change. Because according to they believe that employee value growth, so they need to change in order to improve their performance, for example, in order to increase their interest in performing the job. Because if they're doing the same thing, employee will feel bored and maybe are not interested in performing the job. So giving a variety of tasks to be performed by the employees actually can improve their performance and so on. So this regarding the adhocracy. The third one, common cultural framework that group organizations into the market. This is very basic. Any organizations base their organization or based on their framework based on the achievement. So employees value communication, competence, and competition. So for the survival of organization, it is very important for the organization to base on their framework on achievement. Hierarchy, this common cultural framework that groups organization into hierarchy. They normally based on stability. Employees value communication, formalization, and routines. That means employee prefer to go to the company or to work for the company which are stable. That means there's no instability in terms of they didn't value instability in terms of procedure, in terms of routine. So if you go to the company, for example, their rules and procedure keep changing. So not many like to work for the company that are not stable in terms of procedures, in terms of rule and regulations, in terms of standardization and so on. So common framework of any organization is based on a hierarchy. That's mean based on the stability in terms of formalization, in terms of communications, routine, and so on. Moving next to this slide, culture as a descriptive term. Organizational culture is concerned with employees' perception of the characteristic of the culture, not whether they like them. So organizational culture is basically is a culture in the organizations. This become a culture. So any values, any habits, or any things that become a culture, they are shared by many of the employees. If in the organizations, many of the employees share the same values, the same way of performing the job, the same kind of visions, so they consider organizational culture because it's a shared system. So employees regarding the employees perception of organizational culture is not like they like the organizational culture, but they actually concern more on the characteristic of the culture that we adopt by the organization, whether they like or not. So sometimes when you just join the organization, sometimes you do not like the culture of the organizations, but you have to be in that culture because you are part of the culture. So it's a matter of employee perception of the characteristic of the culture, whether it is important to perform the job, whether it is one way for their to achieve their career development, for example. Maybe they don't like them, but it's kind of descriptive. It's not it's not whether they like or not, but because but it's based on their perception regarding characteristic that is important for the organization. Because when the organizations actually normally the founder influence the culture to be developed in the organization. So the starting point is actually being influenced by the founder. So the founder influence the rest of the employees after they join the organization, and many of the employees may not like, but if it is nothing wrong, so they just join in the culture, they just follow the culture, they just adopt the culture, because that's normally the culture that the organization have is actually to achieve the goal. The main point of organizational culture is to make sure that employees or members in the organization form a team or become a family or accept the culture, so move on and work using with the same type of culture so that they could achieve the same goal that been set by the organization. Research measure how employees see the organization by asking questions like, so in order to know whether someone's whether how the organizational culture look like among the employees, how employees perceive their organizational culture, is to measure them by asking questions such as, does it encourage teamwork? So let's say employees answer yes, this organization encourage teamwork. It is showing that the organizational culture of this organization is related to teamwork, encouraging teamwork. Next question, for example, does it reward innovations? So let's say the majority of the employees answer yes, these organizations reward innovation. So this indicate that organizational culture of their organization or this organization that employees belong to actually base their organizational culture based on innovations or innovative kind of values or innovative kind of approach. So next is, does it stifle initiative? That's mean where the question asks whether this company actually restrict initiative. That's mean whether employees can come up with their own creative ideas, innovations, and so on. So if let's say the answer is yes, that this company restricts initiative, so it's indicate that the culture of this on the organization is quite conservative. They didn't give freedoms to employees to come up with their own ideas, come up with their own creativity, and so on. So we can know from asking employees some of the questions to relate to their culture that their organization practice. And next is organizational culture differs from job satisfaction. So job satisfaction is the employee perceive regarding the work that they do or regarding the jobs that they do is not related to the organizational culture. So the other difference between organizational culture and job satisfaction is job satisfaction is evaluative. That means employees themselves evaluate whether or judge whether the jobs that they do is actually give them satisfaction or fulfill their needs or what they expect from the job. Organizational culture is descriptive. That means in order to answer what is organizational culture, it need to be answered by describing the situation. By can only be answered through descriptive way. Job satisfaction can only be answered by asking employees. So employee just evaluates how satisfied they are. So that's the difference between organizational culture and organizational between job satisfactions.